Premium Friday night sports show. Repeated Saturday mornings with Jason the Flow Man.
Really exciting times for country sport across South Australia and Victoria.
Football and netball in country Australia is life.
Each week tackling the big talking points in country footy and netball.
He's a ripper. He tries his guts out every time, and we love playing with blokes like that.
This is an arch rivalry that goes back generations.
The teams, the ins, the outs, the key matchups and the big games of the round.
Kinaroo have been recruiting brilliantly.
When it comes to September, he gives another gear, that boy, and up and about the way he goes.
It's all about the mental toughness. You're going to be challenged.
Friday nights and repeated Saturday mornings covering your local footy and netball leagues.
That is true. It is a record that will never be broken.
4 footy sides in, all 4 win their grand finals. It's never been done.
They did it with absolute class.
The Friday Night Sports Show with Jace and Wayne the Flow Man on your colour of sporting country life. Flow FM.
It is the Friday Night Sports Show and it's great to be with you. It's Wayne the Flow Man with you, and as always we've got a huge program coming up, and Jace the Statman Regan is with me in the studio. Excitement abounds as footy is back.
Footy is back. Couldn't be more excited about it, Flow Man. It's great to have it back everywhere. All bar there's a couple of outliers, but not in our Flow network. Footy is back this weekend. Fantastic.
Yeah, we're excited about it because this hour we're going to go live and pick up Brad. He's our new correspondent for the Western Eyre, and they are having their first round of home and matches. And when you say footy's back, there's 2 new teams in this, what was Far West and the Midwest coming in. Everyone's been talking about it. It's a huge build-up for it, and we're looking forward to Brad Bowman joining us.
EP footy is massive. We're going to be covering, of course, what's happened to the newly merged Central Eyre United. Try and get that right. Central Eyre United Storm. They've got their first game in Eastern Eyre netball and football, but also we should mention Western Districts. Geez, it's confusing, Flow Man. I'm trying to follow it all. Western Districts and Elliston, they're going down into Great Flinders, and the greatest goal kicker in country footy history will be joining us to talk about their chances.
Yeah, I'm primed up for that is for sure, but no doubt about it. We're going to be having a look too a bit later on at a whole range of football leagues across the central part of the state, and then we get into the southern part of the state later on. It is your Friday Night Sports Show. It is Wayne the Flow Man joined by Jace Regan here on Flow FM.
Points in country footy and netball.
His pass is magnificent.
The Friday Night Sports Show
Here it comes.
with Jason the Flow Man
It's a grand sight.
on your colour of sporting country life. Flow FM.
For all your welding fabrication needs and steel supplies, you need West Coast Welding. From general rural engineering and fabrication to structural steel and aluminium welding to trays with toolboxes and water tanks. They can even help with maintaining your fishing fleet, including aluminium boats and trailers. And they have a range of lifting and rigging gear too. A local family-run business, West Coast Welding, 2 Reading Road, Streaky Bay. Phone 8626 1817.
Great Batch Agencies. You need some mechanical repairs done, mate? Yeah, we're here for the job. Of course we can do your truck. We repair all vehicles. You want a new trailer too? Yeah, mate, we stock the best trailer co in all sizes. Your air conditioner's playing up again. We'll sort you. You can't come into the workshop? We'll meet you out on the farm. We've got everything a farmer needs.
Great Batch Agencies Wirralur. A great batch of products for a great batch of farmers. 8626 8021.
Rob Montgomery, your local earth-moving specialist serving the West Coast. Got solid rock on your property? Rob has the rock breaker and all the gear to crush them, including a 22-tonne excavator and a breaker for trenching rocks. Need to dig a new septic or house and shed preparation? Rob is the man to call. Or if you need the equipment, Rob has 4-wheeled loaders, bobcats, water tankers, semi-side tippers, road trains and low loaders for hire. If you've got a mountain of work, call Rob Montgomery today. 0427 060 755.
Killers, the place to get everything you need to enjoy your time in Streaky Bay. You can hire stand-up paddleboards, kayaks and boats for maximum Streaky Bay enjoyment. Also fuel, bait, ice, tackle, fishing, boating and beach supplies and accessories. Check out the Shimano fishing rods, designed by Killers, the Whiting Killer and the Offshore Killer. And before you hit the water or the road, pick up a Killer's delicious bacon and egg sandwich, the breakfast of champions, or a freshly made sandwich for lunch. Killers, 48 Wells Street, Streaky Bay.
They're your local butcher, Streaky Bay Meat Service.
a family-run butcher serving locals with local farm-fresh produce from paddock to plate. From their range of small goods and metwurst made on site, to their popular range of barbecue packs, hot dogs, their own streaky bacon and locally cured leg ham, Streaky Bay Meat Service take pride in 100% locally sourced and grown products, supplying supermarkets, hotels, clubs and cafes on the West Coast. And would like to thank locals, local businesses and travellers for their ongoing support. Open 8am to 5:30pm. Streaky Bay Meat Service, Wells Street, Streaky Bay.
The Flow FM Sports Show, Western Eyre Football.
It's the Flow Friday Night Sports Show with Jace and the Flow Man here in our Roseworthy studios and across on the western part of our wonderful state. The Western Eyre newly minted competition will get underway this weekend, and a man who will be checking it all out, Flow Man, is Brad Bowman. He joins us on the line. Brad, how are you, mate?
Very well, yourself?
Going well, thank you. You excited?
Oh, it's great. Without football last year, return, and then a couple of additional teams, it's going to be a really exciting start to the season.
Not only exciting, Brad. We talked about this last week, but I mean, when I was up at Penong, they were that excited at the races. I mean, they were talking about the football 6-7 weeks out before the start of the season, and I mean, they were just so excited to be playing a game. But with moving from being a 4-team comp, which haven't been more than 4 teams since Smoky Bay joined with the Sejuna Blues, so that far back, it takes you back a long way before you sort of have a situation where teams that don't play well through the home and away season actually miss out and don't play finals.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a difference for players here, and it'll really make finals something to value and aim for this season.
And I know we're getting a little bit too far ahead of ourselves here, but I can't wait to see how the Green Machine front up at Mortlock. 6-team comp now. Some pretty handy inclusions from Wirralur and the West Coast Hawks. I think you're going to have a pretty handy association side as well, Brad.
Yeah, certainly the boys are very excited about the additions, and it might spur some boys on to really try and get into that team, because give that Mortlock a real shake.
Yeah, I tell you what, they will give it a shake. Hey, talking about shaking things, so Big Ronnie Redford, he's been out and about. He got into the car and he drove down to Streaky Bay area and Pete Nippy, and he greeted the folk from out there at the West Coast Hawks with a lot of love, and apparently Ronnie was almost going to go through his paces, the old Glenelg footballer.
Yeah, he's very impressed with them. He said there were about 41 of them on the track and they looked very sharp last night.
Oh, did he?
I was thinking of changing my name to Depot so Ronnie will talk to me again, but that's a topic for another day. Good evening, Ronnie. I love you, mate. I know you don't like me much, but never mind. Hey, let's talk about what's going on this weekend. The first round of balls being kicked in anger. I'm looking forward to it too. And we might start with two of the existing clubs from Far West who will go at it at Kinniba. The Kinniba Football Club obviously hosting this one against the Blues. These guys should know each other fairly well. Is there any surprises for us from either of these two clubs, Brad?
I've seen a couple of clearances come in this week for Kinniba. Mallee Park, I think Lincoln have got the bye this week, so Kingsley Bilney and Darryl Dudley look like they'll be lining up. So they'll make Kinniba pretty strong tomorrow.
Kingsley Bilney Jr. goes...
And Darryl Dudley's got a bit of talent too, played up at Wirralur, I think, if I remember.
Yes.
So a little bit of connection. So Kinniba starting out on their home deck, are we going to see, like from them, the full strength? I mean, have they any talk coming out of the main street there in Thornton Street, or Poynton Street, I should say, or Mackenzie Street? Any talk there about what Kinniba have actually got?
I was talking to some of their key people, and they... getting together quite a good side this season, so they'll have a really good battle with Blues, and Blues have got a few new players, so it should be a really good game.
Who's the Blues going to have? Who's going to stand up, Brad, for the Blues this week?
Well, their key players this season for the Blues would be David Wright, new addition Brody Chandler, Alex Fraser's another new player, Charlie Williams is back, and Tom Clayton and Max McMillan are a couple of good players they've already had.
B. Chandler will make a difference for any club he plays for. That's handy. But there's a few others around that as well. This should be a beauty. I'm not sure who to tip here.
Yeah, I'm just going to start out with a bit of a... think of the dry conditions that we've had, Brad. Would going with the Roosters, their pace, could that affect the Blue Boys?
Yeah, I think my personal opinion is that Kinniba are going to be just a little bit too good. And, the drier conditions is going to suit their style of play perfectly.
Yeah, okay. All right. Now, all cars will be going to Pete Nippy Oval. Now, Pete Nippy, it's as green as anything out there, and they've been putting some of that beautiful water that they get there on the west coast onto it. Tell me about whether or not Ronnie's got any tip for us in Thevenard coming up against these Hawks in the first game they'll ever play in this competition, in fact, for both clubs in that sense. What do you reckon the West Coast Hawks have got? Has Ronnie got any tip of who's going to match up in their A-grade side?
Well, the key players for the Hawks, I've been told, are Dylan Kelch, Mark Dolling, Reece Kelch, Cameron Montgomery, Cody Colbung and Dylan Montgomery. So they're going to be a very good side, well drilled, so they'll be very hard for the 7R boys.
Yeah, I reckon.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can't go too wrong. If you're wondering what the West Coast Hawks have got at their disposal, just say Montgomery and you'll be fairly safe. For Thevenard, though, it's a little bit tougher. They haven't named a heck of a lot on Sporting Pulse, I see. I think they're looking for a few more.
Yeah, look, their key players, Dom Denton, the male medalist from 2019, he's a key player for them. They'd probably like to clone him because they could play him in about 3 or 4 positions. Jarrad Trowbridge through the midfield, Josh Threadgold on a wing, and Bo Halbert, an emerging young defender. They're going to be their key players.
Yeah, certainly are. And Grillsy is not a bad footballer either, and he'll certainly give his best. And you mentioned Threadgold there. But I tell you what, if I don't mention this, Nick Sherman, he's going to have a breakout season for the West Coast Hawks. Just got to say that just so he knows that we've mentioned his name on the radio, and he'll be very happy about that, as will the boys from Wirral, hearing that they've got their home deck, Jason.
Well, you've jumped early. We haven't got a tip from Brad on who's going to win the Hawks. If you've got any idea, because as far as tipping these two, they've never played each other, so how would we know?
My prediction would be the Hawks by maybe 20 to 30 points.
Okay.
Yeah, I reckon it might be a bit more than that.
Sorry to jump in on you there, but I had to get a tip from Brad on that one because I've got no idea.
No, that's right. Well, I've said that a couple of times tonight. But Wirral Footy Club at Wirral take on the Western United Football Club. I'll tell you, out at the Westies, they're absolutely very excited about this, and they're very excited about it too because it's a big long road trip for them to start. 170k down the road. They'll get to the Bomberland. They'll welcome them with open arms, with the gates flurried open there at Wirral. Bomber boys at home, how will they front up against the might of Western United?
Well, key players for Wirral will be Mitchell Gum, Ryan Watson, Yanni Kosminski, Kaz Auckland and Rowan Chester. The key players for Western United are Dale Shippard, Tom Woods, Jake Warmington, Harley Chandler and Dwayne Ettrick.
Yeah, that's right, Dan. The Hoffrica boys are in that side too, and they certainly know how to play. The Shippard boys, there's a few of them, and the Warmington lads too. There's a couple of Woodses along the way too, so you've given some key players. 2 Mar boys, I noticed too. And don't forget, if I don't say his name on the radio, then at some point through the season he'll be disappointed, and that is Jared Kenchington. He will certainly want to put in a big effort this weekend for Wirral, though we know that they just simply want to win at home. I reckon this will go down the wire. I've gone with the Tigers.
Yeah, I can't go past the champs either. I know they've had a year off and it's a new look side to a point, but there's still some pretty regular go-getters in there. I think Wirral might take a little time to adjust, and I think the Tigers as well. Brad, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think Western United will get the points, probably by about 25 points, I think.
Should be a cracking day, though. A lot of excitement out there at Bomberland as well about being in a new comp as well. So can't wait for it, Brad. I'm sure you can't either. Which one are you heading to?
I'm thinking about heading up the road and going have a look at the Wirral game.
Good idea. Good stuff.
Yes, I think there'll be a lot of interest out there in the paddocks at Wirral, and a lot of interest, Brad. Thank you for coming on board, and looking forward to more Far West, or what is now Western Eyre football. You gave me the look then, didn't you?
I did.
Yes, I did. I said it. Ronnie, I will not
He's
get
the first
that wrong.
one to do it.
Done it once. Brad, you haven't done it yet, so I reckon $1 in the jar for every time we get it wrong. What do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely. It's take a little bit to get used to, but something to really look forward to.
The way you're going, our end-of-season trip with the fines jar might take us to wherever we like, really. Maybe it might take us to Penong.
Maybe I'll put it in your wallet. We'll talk about the wallets a bit later on. Here we go, here on The Flow, the Friday Night Sports Show. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
IGA Thevenard has great service and savings for you on groceries, Deli Lines fresh fruit and veg, and at convenient opening hours. 8 till 8, 7 days a week. With more than 800 weekly specials from IGA to help with the family budget. Also new lines including ready-to-eat pizzas, Nature's Protein JC Nut Range, ready-made salads and more. Delivering grocery orders to Far West farmers, stations, roadhouses and missions. Plus phone orders and delivery for minimum $100 in Ceduna and Thevenard. Shop with the locals at IGA Thevenard, opposite Thevy Oval, or phone 8625 2175.
What do N&C Ag stand for? What about New Holland Curtis's on the Upper Eyre Peninsula? They're service agents for parts and repairs.
Yeah, they have genuine new parts or aftermarkets for your red, green or yellow tractor and header.
They're nice and central, and they can get the job done in the workshop or on the farm when you really need it.
That's right, mechanical, auto, electrical, aircons, but what do N&C Ag actually stand for?
Well, you'll have to ask Noel and Christine. Give them a call.
Ask Noel and Christine at N&C Ag Warilla. Phone 8626 8042.
Ceduna Metal Solutions. You bring the opportunity, they have the solutions. For all steel, aluminium and stainless steel fabrication and repairs, whether you're farming on the land or on the water, Ceduna Metal Solutions have the right equipment, supplies, knowledge and experience. And don't forget about their cranes. Ready for hire when you need that extra boost. Based in Ceduna with a mobile service that can come to you. Ceduna Metal Solutions. Solutions for all your metal needs. 70 Schwartz Road, Ceduna, or call 8625 3997.
West Coast Ag, formerly Landmark West Coast, and still more than just ag supplies. They stock a large range of crop protection products, fertiliser, irrigation, fencing, stock feeds, shearing supplies, pet and animal health products, an agent for Bushman tanks and Aaron's field bins. They even have a range of hunting and clay target shooting ammo, scopes and binoculars. See the team for your grain marketing, agronomy and arranging delivery to and from your farm. Locally owned and operated, West Coast Ag, Redding Road, Streaky Bay. Phone 8626 1409.
Get great Toyota value and you'll be still feeling it long after you drive away from the dealership. Like Hilux 4x4 SR5 double cab pickup with 2.9% finance to approved business applicants with a maximum finance term of 48 months.
Visit Ceduna Toyota on the corner of Eyre Highway and Hastings Road, Ceduna.
Oh, what a feeling. Toyota. Approved business applicants only. Terms and conditions apply. Offer ends April 30. Toyota Finance Australia Limited. AFSL and Australian Credit Licence 392536.
The Flow FM Sports Show, Eastern Eyre and Great Flinders Football.
It's the Flow, a Friday night sports show, and I tell you what, it's great to be back and talking about football and netball action across the Eyre Peninsula. And I reckon we're excited here, but I reckon our next guest is probably even more excited. Been a tough few months for him, but the Central Eyre United Storm will have their first match in Eyre Peninsula, Eastern Eyre Peninsula football and netball this weekend down at Rudall. Jarrad Sampson, the president of the footy club, joins us. How are you, mate?
Hey, mate. Yeah, good to be back. It's one more sleep and it all becomes real. It's exciting times ahead. Can't wait.
Absolutely. So not only the Prez, I imagine you'll be pulling the boots on again this year?
Yeah, fantastic opportunity. Very excited to see what the year brings. So, happy to be back on the track, that's for sure.
Good stuff. All right, well, let's talk about your opponents in round one action. What do you know about the Eastern Rangers, who you will take on at Rudall? Tell us about them first of all, and then we'll talk about your good selves.
It's going to be a learning curve for us, mate. We haven't seen any of the clubs in Eastern Eyre play much footy before, other than a token game here and there. So all reports, they're going to be probably the team to beat, looking at their list. Yeah, some pretty handy ins. You got the two Kenny boys in the middle there, Jess and Jack. And I see Adam Hurrell, Elliston lad, he's moved to town. So very handy fella to move into town. So it's going to be a tough midfield to come up against. I think Reece Binky's back up from Tasman's as well. So good introduction to the league. We'll see how we go. But, yeah, exciting times regardless.
Absolutely. So, yeah, they'll be strong. They always are in that competition, the Eastern Rangers, but those additions, gee whiz, they're going to be really tough to crack. Let's talk about your boys. How's the squad come together? Obviously, born out of two clubs merged, so these are boys that would have known each other, played against each other a bit. How have you gelled together?
It has gone remarkably well, mate. Couldn't be prouder of the way the two clubs have come together, both on and off the field. Got a few injuries early up. Feel for young Remy North, who's done his knee, so he'll miss the season at this stage. So pretty disappointed for him, obviously, after the hard slog he's had for a while now. But, exciting times. We've, got some depth there still. Jesse Stringer will be leading the boys out. So confident we'll be competitive throughout the year, but might just take a few weeks to build into it.
Now, tell us about the rest of the club structure now and the competition structure in Eastern Eyre. How many sides have you got to put out on the park, and are they all looking fairly strong numbers-wise?
Yep, so we'll be fielding under 12s and under 16s in the juniors. So, coming together with Woodness and Central Eyre, we've got a couple of competitive sides there, which is great. Kids are more excited than anyone to get the chance to play their mates from school every week. And then A grade and B grade, the squad's looking pretty solid. Had, I think it was 45 odd on the track last night, which is a great change from the 10s to 12s we're traditionally used to. And then I think over in the netball, we've got 5 senior type sides this year now. So it's been great to be involved with Eastern Eyre to this point in time. Nothing's too hard. And, so added an extra senior side to the ranks. Rather than having 4, there'll be 5. So, very optimistic and positive start to the season and makes all the hard work well worth it.
The strip, has it arrived in time? What will you be wearing on Saturday in your first game?
No, we're pushing it uphill to try and get it here in time, mate. So it'll be here next week. So we'll have it for our first home game, but we'll be running out in the Woodner kit for this weekend, just to avoid the clash with Rangers. I believe the netball uniforms will rock up this afternoon, though. So, we're hopeful they would have got here. The reality was we were stretched for time. So, we'll be able to launch them at our first home game against Cal in a couple of weeks' time.
Beautiful. I've got a few scouts getting around who might just be able to get me a snap of Jarrad Sampson running around in the Woodner United kit. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Small sacrifice, mate. It's, I think the excitement on the day will well and truly outweigh the Guernsey, mate. No stress at all there. Had them in the rooms last night to fit everyone up, and there was no arguments. There was excitement in the room to get in there and grab a Guernsey and grab a number. So, I think small price to pay for bigger picture, that's for sure.
Beautiful, mate. Well, I wish you all the best. Hopefully it's the fairy tale result in the new competition. It'll be tough. They're a very good footy club, the Eastern Rangers, as I'm sure you already know. But the other game in Eastern Eyre, we should mention it as well. Obviously, you'll know more about these two sides as you get to play them later in the season. But Kimber Districts, I believe they're heading off down the highway to Cow to take on the Cats. And this should be an interesting game. Kimber, I think, should be fairly strong again. Cow are the great unknown, though.
I think the excitement in the league, seeing most clubs recruit quite well out of the 4 already in the league. So I see Cal have picked up a few. They got 4 or 5 ins. Ports are pretty similar with a few ins. So, for someone who hasn't seen a lot there, it's really hard to gauge it. You'd imagine Kimber will be pretty strong and tough to beat, as usual. But, looking at the numbers coming in, we should see some pretty competitive footy throughout the year, which is exciting for the league and the game in general, isn't it?
Good luck to everyone running around in Eastern Eyre football this weekend, but in particular to the Central Eyre United Storm in their very first game as a merged club in the new competition, Eastern Eyre football. Very, very exciting stuff. Jarrad, all the very best. Look forward to catching up with you next week to talk about how the day went and for the rest of the season. All the best, mate. Stay safe and enjoy the weekend.
Thanks, mate. Can't wait to get tomorrow underway, and we'll catch you next week.
It is the Flow Friday Night Sports Show, and that's not all of EP football that we'll be talking about tonight. Jarrad Sampson doing great work there for the old Midwest contingent now in Eastern Eyre in Central Eyre United. But there is another club which has moved into another league on the Eyre Peninsula, and that is a joining of the forces between Elliston and Western Districts. They're heading down to Great Flinders. We're going to be chatting with the greatest country goal kicker in South Australian football history about their chances. He will face them this week for the first time. That is Chris Prime talking about Great Flinders football later on in the program.
Elders West Coast at Woodner and Ceduna are your local real estate specialists. Talk to Elaine Seal about listing and selling rural, commercial and residential commercial properties in Woodner, Elliston, Venus Bay, Ceduna, Smoky Bay and Penong. For property management, see Donnie L. Smart, while Michael Seal is your insurance specialist on the EP. Ask about our rural bank facilities with friendly face-to-face service. Elders West Coast, your local banking, insurance and real estate specialists. Elders West Coast, supporting local communities.
Reap the benefits of concentrated, cost-effective liquid fertiliser this season with Liquid Ag. Locally manufactured on the Eyre Peninsula from the highest quality raw materials, supplying a range of sulfates, organic chelates, nitrogen solutions and water conditioners. Available now either individually or as a custom blend tailored to fit your farm's pre- and post-seeding nutritional requirements. With on-farm delivery, talk to Tim or Micah about Liquid Ag's fertiliser products. Visit liquidag.com.au.
For over 20 years, Cad's Truck and Diesel have specialised in all facets of truck, bus and four-wheel drive diesel engines repairs and servicing. The team at Cad's takes pride in quality and thorough workmanship, customer service and competitive prices. Qualified and experienced mechanics operate a large workshop with modern equipment and technology, including a truck brake tester and suspension shaker. Proudly SA owned. See the boys keeping you and your business on the road. Cad's Truck and Diesel, Lot 55, Stockwell Road, Angaston. Call 85642 470 or visit cadstruckanddiesel.com.au.
Time is money. That's the prime motivation at the heart of Lesky Engineering. Specialist agricultural manufacturers continually and consistently applying their wealth of experience to products both efficient and cost effective. Just like their custom 55-tonne mobile bin. 23-foot auger with hydraulic choke and lift on the wheels, made with quality steel and options available. Lesky Engineering, over 40 years of manufacturing experience, including repairs, refurbished and custom projects. SA designed and built to withstand the harsh Aussie climate. Visit the website today, leskyengineering.com.au.
Tackling the big talking points in country footy and netball.
His pass is magnificent.
The Friday Night Sports Show.
Here it comes.
With Jason the Flow Man.
It's a grand sight.
On your colour of sporting country life, Flow FM.
One of the great leagues in our wonderful state when it comes to football is Barossa Light and Gawler football. I reckon the premier competition in the state right now in terms of quality. A man who would likely agree with us, Flo Man, with that statement, that's a big call to make, is on the line right now. Who have we got, Flo Man?
Kym Vivian joins us from the Gawler Central Footy Club. Hey, Kym, how are you?
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, really good. Hey, Kym, last week your Gawler Central Tigers met the Andrew Newton-Jarman show as Williston kicked 13-14-92 to beat Gawler Central 7-9-51. Explain to us how it unfolded.
Look, I actually didn't get to the A-grade game that day. I had a prior engagement, but looking at the sides on paper, I thought the Gawler Central side looked okay. There'd be no excuses coming out of the club because I think they had some quality players that missed out and played B grade. So the Williston boys are just too good, I think.
Yeah, tell us about how they were too good, though. I mean, on paper it reads this that they won 13-14 to 7-9. But, Jace, I mean, there's got to be some coaching in this that actually has won the game for the Williston boys.
Well, when you're talking about coaching, you're talking about Andrew Newton-Jarman, and I've heard him on the radio before, and I'm not sure he's capable of finding two coherent sentences. So I'm going to say there's got a lot of good assistant coaching, perhaps. No, I shouldn't say that. He's well tried as a coach, obviously. What I will say is, was there a bit of breeze there in Gawler on Saturday? Because it looks as though that might have played a bit of a role in the outcome as well.
Yeah, look, I think the wind was pretty strong blowing to that northern end pretty much most of the day because it was like that through the juniors. I think all of the three earlier games that I saw, the scoring was all to that one end, so it was probably the same in the A grade as well, I imagine.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, they jumped you, obviously, with the use of that breeze. 4-4 to 1-3 quarter time. Brought it back to just 11 points at half time, but it was that third quarter where they really got hold of you guys, beating 5-5 to just the one goal and they were good enough to hold on in the last quarter to run out pretty comfortable winners in the end. So the Donnybrooks, they'll be happy with their start. Gawler Central back to the drawing board.
Yeah, Petra Hillis with 3, Howson 3, and Clinch and Petra Hillis. I went with that name because I knew that you wouldn't go with it.
Thank you.
Yep, Phelps with 3 for Gawler Central. Molyneux, their best player and one of the best players in the league, that is for sure. Heading towards the other matches, Kym, indeed, Tanunda 18-10, 118 to Kapunda 7-16, 58. If last year Tanunda was down near the bottom, it was an aberration because they're no longer there.
No, I don't think there was any surprise with the result of that game. Probably outside of Kapunda, I don't think anyone was probably expecting the result to be any different to what it was. I think, if anything, it maybe could have blown out a little bit further. But, Kapunda is always a competitive side, and it'll just be interesting to see how Tanunda roll up this week.
Yes, well, Kapunda obviously needs some goal-kicking practice. 7-16 is not going to get the job done. And Tanunda, from first to worst and back to being competitive again. What, did they find a few blokes who decided not to have the year off this time?
Yeah, look, I think they've recruited well. They've lost some players, but they've brought some players back in. It seems to be one of those things. You can't be at the top of your game in country footy anymore and stay there. You've got to, we always talk about it in local clubs and probably have done for 10, 15 years, that with the point system now, you need to, you can be at the top for a while, and then there comes a point where you do need to bottom out. And I think it happens with the draft system in the AFL as well. So, you have a look at that. Tanunda have been able to stock up a little bit. That's probably where Gawler Central are at the moment. But in 2 or 3 years' time, that'll be different, and then it'll be Kapunda's turn in the sun.
Number 13 for Tanunda, two-handy recruit this one. I assume that's Corcoran, who used to play for Port Adelaide and Sturt, is running around now with the Maggies. That's a pretty handy pickup.
Yeah, they've got a few guys like that, obviously, with the Westhoff connections, and obviously their coach, Coherm, going to the club, has been able to attract some talent. So, they're going to be a tough side to beat.
They really are. I tell you what, Trembath and Snowden are going to be tough to beat up the front when they kick 5 each. And L. Westhoff, L. Snowden, R. McFarlane in the better place. Matters 3, Dodd and Hocking. Good to see Hocking back there with a couple of goals. Matters, Hocking and Evans, the better players there on the side of the ledger for the Bomber boys. But it wasn't enough because the other matches on the day, Nuriutpa had their home deck, and that was an absolute ripper. But South came with the flood at the end and won 6-15, 51 to 7-6, 48. And gee, Kym, it was a closey.
Yeah, look, I think we spoke about it last week. We tipped that it was going to be a close one, and maybe just on the basis of form from last year that South were going to get over the line, which is what happened. So I think the game probably played out fairly well as expected, and maybe Newry with a new coach and some new blood in their lineup as well are probably going to be around the mark and pushing for that top 4 as well, going on that result.
Let's be honest here. The only thing that kept Newry in this was inaccurate kicking. In fact, they kicked more goals than South Gawler, but when you kick 6-15, you were very lucky to sneak over the line. Newry, good job from them, but South Gawler probably should have won by more. In the end, they get the job done, they get the points, and they take them home very happily, I assume.
I reckon they do, like Anguston would have 2018 to Barossa Districts 5-8, and I've got to say, big win here for Anguston, Kym.
Yeah, and again, look, I don't think that was a result that really surprised anyone either. Anguston are still, they've had a solid lineup for 2 or 3 years now, going to their 3rd season with a fairly good lineup. Barossa have probably had a lot of outs and not too many ins, so they're probably one of those clubs that's in that rebuilding phase. They had a lot of older players that have retired or moved on. Some other players that have moved elsewhere and away from the league. So they're going through that rebuilding phase. I don't think there's ever an easy game in the BL&G football competition these days. You've got to be on your game each week. And while we do get some large margins at different times, like this one was, I wouldn't be surprised if, that'll hurt Barossa and they'll try and bounce back this week.
The boy from Tumby Bay, Jay Shannon, booting 5 goals for Anguston. And ask me who was in the best players for Barossa District, Flowman.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm just going to take a long-shotted guess. Will be Mr. Baraglia maybe, or Mr. Ricewick.
Well, you stole my thunder. I've been working on that all week. Ricewick. L alphabet, but Ryan's, yes, he's a star. He kicked a goal as well. I don't care anymore, Flo, man. It's over to you. I'm out.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I stole his wallet today, Kym, and he's not forgiven me for it, but gee, it was empty.
You did too.
It was empty when I opened it up, but anyway, we get back into the real deal because it's round 2 action here, and this is going to be a really important round. So, Kym, we take a look at Freeling. They come out against your boys, Gawler Central, at the dog track. How do you think Freeling will front up against last year's premiers?
Oh, look, I think probably the biggest battle they've got is they're coming off a year off. They didn't play senior footy last year. Gawler Central are going to be really hurting from last week, and I took note that Tuesday night's training wasn't particularly kind and friendly, and the boys were actually doing some fairly solid running. So I think it was a night of punishment for some bad performance on the weekend. Having said that as well, I would still expect Freeling to be quite competitive. Any side that's coached by Roger James with his credentials is going to be a well-coached unit. I did notice early this week as well that there were some late clearances coming through for Freeling from other country leagues. So maybe they have at the last minute done a bit of last-minute recruiting, and it'll be interesting to see how they turn up and what that game looks like. But I'd be very surprised if Gawler Central didn't win that one pretty comfortably.
Well, Gawler Central will start favourites, and Charlie Molyneux will be very important in getting the job done here for the Tigers, and they should win. They've also got to thank Freeling for the use of their home ground during grand final day, I think, so they should be nice to them.
Yeah, it should be Newry at Barova take on Barossa Districts up at Williamstown, and this is an important game for the Barossa District boys, and obviously for Newry too, because they want to get a win on the board early.
Yeah, look, I don't think any clubs like playing away. They always prefer to play on their home deck. But when this turns up and you get to play Barossa, inside the first 3 or 4 rounds at Williamstown, you'll take that every day of the week. I reckon there'll be a lot of clubs out there that have got away games at Williamstown later in the year, say after perhaps July, that would happily switch and play early in the year with them. So I think Newry will be quite happy to go up there and take Barossa on their home deck, which will be looking really nice this time of year, but I think they're going to have just too much firepower for the Barossa District boys.
Oh, the Donnybrooks have got plenty of firepower at the moment as well, not just their coach. They'll head up the highway to Kapunda and look to bash up the Bombers, who gave a fairly good account of themselves last week, but I think Williston starts favourites here, surely.
Yeah, look, I think they will. I'm going to pull a smoky here, and I'm going to say that Kapunda might just get over the line in a tight one. Maybe Williston off their game after a very big win. The emotion of Jar's first game with the boys, I'm going to back the Kapunda boys in to have a crack, and their first home game of the year, and I'm going to tip that they're going to get over the line in a tight one.
All right, what about the South Gawler boys on their home deck at Riggs Reserve against Tanunda? Tanunda would probably start favourite after a big job that they did last week.
Yeah, look, I think this one will be it'll be a tussle, I think, but I feel it's going to be one of those games that Tanunda are probably going to have probably in their control by about half time. Could be wrong, but yeah, I'd say maybe Tanunda by 3 or 4.
Right.
It should be a very interesting round of football. Good luck to everyone playing, and thank you very much, Kym, for joining us and telling us all about it. Enjoy the footy on the weekend.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure.
Since 1974, Tundari have been providing parts and service for all types of farm machinery, including tractors, haymaking, spray equipment, vineyard equipment and general merchandise used by farmers. Surrounded by a diverse range of agriculture, the team at Tundari know and understand the land, along with the experience and expertise you need. Agents for Kubota, Crone, Fence and Massey Ferguson. Call in soon, see the showroom and impressive on-site displays, or visit tundari.com.au. Tundari Sales and Service, Barossa Valley Way, Gawler East.
Family owned and operated, Jury's Liquid Waste are your local experienced and trusted waste management service provider. From grease trap and holding tank cleaning to septic tank maintenance and the supplying and installing of septic tanks, along with sullage tank cleaning, upgrading soakage systems, winery waste management and general earthworks. Jury's Liquid Waste are also Rytreat, Biocycle and Envirocycle specialists. Residential, commercial or industrial with a team of knowledgeable EPA licensed qualified professionals. Call Jury's Liquid Waste today, 85639190. 190. That's 85639190. 190.
With nearly 50 years' experience, Great Irrigation offer an unparalleled irrigation design and installation service, backed up by an impressive range of irrigation products and after-sales service. Family-owned Great Irrigation are perfectionists who specialise in problem-solving and treating every system, domestic, commercial or agricultural, as their own. Whether it's an existing or new state-of-the-art high-tech automated system, their knowledge, experience and reputation is why locals prefer Great Irrigation, servicing the Barossa Valley and surrounding areas. Call in to 91 Noorup Road, Nooryutpa. Phone 8562 1333 or visit greatirrigation.com.au.
Tackle there. Oh, what a great leg.
York Peninsula footy.
Yes, it's the Flow Friday night sports show, York Peninsula footy. I can tell you two things before we get stuck into matches coming up. First of all, Sam Jacobs.
Yes.
We're going to get him on the show next week. It's confirmed.
You promised me last week.
Yeah, I know.
And is that why your wallet's empty?
Well, yes, it is. But I've got to say, we were talking about my wallet earlier on. Now, the Flow studios at Roseworthy are quite expansive.
Yes.
There's not too many places really where you can get yourself into trouble about where you leave your stuff. Unless you're like me, who just put his wallet down on his desk and Flowman decided it was his. Now, I've got a bone to pick with you, though, Flowman.
Yep.
I put my wallet down. Now, I know there were 3 moths in it before. So why is it when I got my wallet back from you, there was 7 moths in there? They're not breeding.
Oh, it's empty as I've ever seen it. Your wallet was just as empty as mine, which is one of the reasons why I think we may have swapped them.
I'm just glad it never got into your pocket because that might be the deepest pocket I've ever seen. But anyway, let's talk about York Peninsula football instead.
Yes.
Sam Jacobs, his debut for Ardrossan, or can't call it a debut because he did play there before he went to the AFL. His return, shall we say, didn't quite go according to plan for the Ardrossan crew. A thrilling game of football, this one, and they went down by a point.
They did. It was a Kadina side 6-14-50 on the Bloodhounds Oval, beating the Ardrossan Kangaroos 6-13-49. Big Sam was best on the ground, they say. He dominated the ruck.
Yes, he was in the best for them, along with Rhodes and Roundtree. But there was a host of single goal kickers, no multiple goal kicker on the ground for either side. East, Ellis, Bruce and Flavel named best for the winners.
Yeah, I reckon Brucey might be one of our Eyre Peninsula boys, I reckon. What about this, though? It is the Butte boys, 16-17, 113. A Butte win over Wallaroo, 10-9-69. And just if you didn't to think that Butte are flying high, those Roosters, who don't normally fly, there is 2 Butte boys that are being picked for the Port Power side. And John Cock, is it John Cock? No, it's...
Woodcock.
Woodcock, yes, that's it.
There was a John Cock that used to play for another bunch of Roosters there on the Eyre Peninsula and then came down to the Peckers.
Yeah, the Mallee Park one.
That's right. So,
yes.
But no,
Boyd
Woodcock, that's right.
Joins Lockie Jones.
The best mullet in the AFL.
Definitely, and those two will be running around, we reckon, for the power this weekend. But Butte ran around pretty well and beat Wallaroo quite convincingly, 16-17 to 10-9. Plus, Central York lost to Parsky, 14-16, 100 to 8-5-53. What did you make of that?
They lost. No good. There's probably not much more to say about it than that. No. Parsky's price booted 4, Willesden 2, and for Central York, Potts and Carey booted 2 each. That's about all there is to write home about that one.
Yeah, Highland played okay for them, but what about this? Bad kicking's bad football, and a win to Moonta, 10-11-71 to the Southern Eagles at their own Waruka Oval in windy conditions, 7-18-60. That is...
They fooled us.
They did. We thought they were home and hosed because they'd won the last premiership back, let's say 2 years ago, but wasn't to be. Well played to Mutar in this league. Let's go to this week's matches in round 2 of YPFL. We have the Big Sam at home. There's a big set of silos out there near the wharf, and I reckon Sam stands about as high as those silos at Ardrossan.
Oh, he's tall. He's not that tall, but he can play. The CMS Crows, I reckon they're my early tip for the flag.
Oh, really? You've gone that early and haven't even played a game yet?
So I think with Ardrossan and the CMS Crows, this should be a beauty. Moonta at Maitland Oval, they take on Central York. They'll win that.
I reckon Central York got to respond here. They need a win after last week. Wallaroo get the Southern Eagles, both coming off of losses. Forces and Southern Eagles need to travel up to Bulldog territory and do the job. This is great, though. I love seeing this. Anzac Day.
Yep.
It is, as many people know, that's going to be a delay of this round 2. So we've got this round 2. It's not this weekend. Remember, it's just a delayed round of football.
That's right.
Yep. So what we've just given everyone is just basically the round 2 being delayed to Anzac Day. So just an unusual programming, a week off for school holidays this week for the York Peninsula folk.
That's right. And on Anzac Day, don't forget the Anzac Day Clash, which we'll obviously talk more about these in the future.
Yep.
Butte heading up the road to Pascoeville with Kadina having the bye, so they get a couple of weeks off back to back.
Yep, they do. So if you thought that you were playing football this weekend in the York Peninsula and we gave you the impression that you were, it's only because we were under the impression you might be, but you're actually not. And so we've actually corrected that as we've gone.
Okay, good work. What's next?
I reckon we should go to some Adelaide Plains.
Yes.
They are playing this weekend.
Well, are they?
Well,
can we confirm that?
We will. It is Angle Vale that will take on Virginia, but firstly in the matches is the starting of the season, round 1 action for them, and Angle Vale get Virginia. Who do you reckon wins?
Virginia win that by as many as they like.
Okay,
probably 10 plus.
Ballock played Malala. I actually stopped and had a look at Malala last week as they played the RSMU Hawks in a trial match, and they were very, very good. The Magpies moved the ball with some system early in the season, which they didn't last year, if you remember. They were a bit late getting going, but then won the flag. Balaclava back after a year off the home deck. Peckerland, I'm tipping the Peckers.
Well, they've looked after them. They wanted to move leagues. Now they've got a round 1 game against the Premiers on their home deck, and Malala win.
United at Long Plains play Hamley Bridge. Poor old Bomberland, they'll be running over there to Tigerland and having a bad day.
Well, yes.
Yeah. And Hummocks Watchmen back into the league after a year off last year have done the Port Wakefield overlap. It's in splendid condition, and they take on Two Wells, and I think this is the match of the round.
It is the match of the round, and I expect the Roosters will bounce back and get the job done here. Hummocks Watchmen might just take them a couple of rounds to get back reacclimatised. But, yeah, I think the Roosters win.
All right, it is the York Peninsula and Adelaide Plains football getting going this weekend.
Most farmers struggle for decent returns from their crops, their livestock and their grain. AW Vater & Co. give growers the best supply, service and support from seed to silo, helping to maximise profits and grow a prosperous farm for generations. You deserve more reward for effort and the security of a partner in agriculture who has your back, fighting for you, whether it's changing market prices or product and supply shortages. Contact family-owned and operated AW Vater & Co. today, where you're not a number, you're part of the family. Saddleworth, Kadina, or visit awvater.com.au. Tackling the big talking points in country footy and netball.
This pass is magnificent.
The Friday Night Sports Show.
Here it comes.
With Jason the Flow Man.
It's a grand sight.
On your colour of sporting country life, Flow FM.
It is the Flow Friday Night Sports Show, and let's have a look at Northern Area's footy, which is back this weekend. Can't wait for it, and the great Graham Spud Mackay is on the line to tell us all about it. Spud, welcome back, mate. How are you?
Thank you, Jace. Yeah, I'm well, thank you. Isn't it great to have footy back again? And hopefully we'll get a full season in uninterrupted.
Spud, your boys, Jamestown Peterborough, are back in action in season 2021. I think that's where we might start. Why not? It's been a while since we spoke about them. You're going to host at Jamestown, of course, these days. Southern Flinders will come to town. How do you reckon you'll go?
Right, well, there's 2 new coaches here. We got Chris Stacey for Jamestown Peterborough. Chris coached in 2011 and got them to a grand final. And for Southern Flinders, it's Nick Pearce, who's coming in for his first stint. Comes from Kilburn. Pretty good ruckman, I think. So we wish both of those coaches a successful season. Jamestown Peterborough, first of all, their outs for the season are Nick Rowe, Josh Weatherly and Dale Munro. So there's 2 big outs there in Nick Rowe and Josh Weatherly. They've both gone to North Clare. For Southern Flinders, their big outs are Joel Palmer, who's only just sort of pulled out. He's gone down to props. Kyle Amberg-Pedersen, Blake Simons and Archie Pryor. And as I've said, coming in is the coach, and he's brought with him Scott Galbraith, who is an on-baller centreman, and Cody Boomard, Jackson Bruce, Jeb Nettle, and Andy Horace, who comes across from Crystal Brook. And I'd expect him to sort of give Southern Flinders a fair bit. So, yeah, look, I did omit to say Jamestown Peterborough is in. They picked up Jake Slade from BSR. he's had a teacher appointment in Jamestown, so he comes across along with Josiah Clifford, who played for Jamestown Peterborough in the Colts a few years ago. This should be a really good game. Jamestown Peterborough, I think, will be relying on some of their local players to actually show some improvement under Chris. Some of them are now sort of getting up around that 21, 22-year mark. So that's when they need to sort of start to have a bit of influence. The players that will, I think, sort of be standouts for them, or they'll look to see some leadership from Greg Farr. Nick Rinn should be back. And then they'll probably have up forward or even on ball Henry Hall, Tom Kelly across the centre. Jake Slade is an on-baller. So like that, I'm looking for those players to sort of give Jamestown Peterborough something. Southern Flinders, on the other hand, will be sort of looked to be led by their coach. And then you've got Kobe Millington, Lockie Pole, who did the rucking for him last year. He'd be the sort of coming in to spell Nick Pearce. Should be a good game. I think that probably Southern Flinders just go in favourites, but it's a matter of who settles first. If a team is able to sort of get a bit of a break in that first half, it gives them confidence, and then they go on from that. So it will be a really good game, but I think Southern Flinders might just get over the line.
All right. Well, good luck to Jamestown Peterborough and Southern Flinders. The other two fixtures, of course, we might start with Broughton Mandurah, who there's a few changes here. They're at home at Port Broughton to Orroroo, who I believe are up and about. I know we haven't had a game yet, but I think they'll be fairly confident heading into this year, Spud.
Yeah, Orroroo have got a fair few outs too, and they're big outs in Tom Head, Blake Lorna, Jack Kenny, who goes back to Eastern Eyre, I reckon. He's over that way. You probably know more than me about that one.
Back with the Eastern Rangers, yep.
George Jackson goes back to Keith. Dennis Redden has actually decided to retire because he's had a bit of problem with injuries the last few years. Dennis has been a really good footballer, but unfortunately he's had to sort of put the boots away. And they also lose Josh Lawson. So a few big outs there. They have got a couple of big ins, though, in Patrick McCarthy and Matt Menico, who I think Patrick McCarthy might have been almost drafted there when he was sort of only about 18. But he'll come to Orroroo, and hopefully they'll look for those players to put in alongside of their normal stalwarts in Aidan Lee in the ruck. Then Tom Reed, I think, maybe their captain. Darren Hughes, male medalist. John Nicholas, a male medalist. Nick Homch up forward for him. So, yeah, Orroroo will be pretty handy. And I think Broughton Mandurah, they'll probably be missing their key forwards in Gene Robinson, Sid Masters, Matt Hoffman in the ruck, and James Camp. Those are their four big outs.
Yep.
But they have got a couple to come back in. Mitchell Bowley is one of their former players. His brother's still playing for Broughton Mandurah, and so therefore they're looking to meet up again and play together. Braden Allen, Bryce Damon, and Jacob Acker, Josh McCullum are their other ins. I think Broughton Mandurah will probably not be quite as strong as last year at this stage, but I might have missed. They may have other players coming in there. So if they've got somebody to replace those forwards, I think they've definitely got the firepower across their centre line with Tom Button in there, and Strath Roberts was good for them last year. Hard game to pick, but I'd give it just to Broughton Mandurah, seeing it's their home game, first game up. So they like to perform in front of their home crowd. So I'm sure it'll be again another good game. These first games are hard to pick, but I'll go just Broughton Mandurah.
They always are hard to pick, you're right, Spud. Speaking of hard to pick, at Wilmington, BMW, they will host Crystal Brook, who didn't have much to crow about last year, other than the fact that they had a McGarry medalist running around in the sandful, but that didn't help them at local level. How are these clubs going to look this year?
Yeah, well, Crystal Brook they brought in Darren Schillerbeer. Now, he's from Port Augusta, had a run down with North Adelaide, has played state country, a really strong centre-half forward. He's actually going to be assisting Luke Seymour in the coaching division. So that will probably help. But it gives Crystal Brook a fairly formidable looking forward line if you have Darren Shillabeer line up at centre half forward and Daniel Hill, who is normally right up there in the goal best of the goal kickers. He's at full forward. So then you just rely on your on-ballers. They're also bringing in Braden Kirk. They haven't got a lot that I know of coming in, but there's been a couple of coming in the clearances in the last couple of days there. So there may be others that I don't know about.
Right.
I probably should mention, like I've already mentioned, Andy Horace. He's left Crystal Brook to go to Southern Flinders. So they lose him. They lose Sean Capitola, Tom Arvin, Ty Starkey, Matt Weckett and Jackson Richmond. So there's a few out there. So they'll have to get some probably to come in and make up the numbers. So I reckon Crystal Brook will be a little bit better than last year. But it may take them a little while to settle if they need to get some sort of structure going in their forward line. BMW, on the other hand, don't know a lot about the ins, but they've lost the ones that came in just to help them out last year when they couldn't get a game in for their local clubs. Levi Proud, Alex Greenslade, Corey Graham go back to the CY Cougars. Levi Proud, I reckon, is going to have another go in the sample this year. So that will, they'll be big losses for them. But they've still got, with their coach Alex Kanga and his brother Lucas Kanga, who was a male medalist last year, they should be very competitive. I reckon they've picked up a couple of their local lads that have come back, I reckon. Braden Battersby in defence is strong for them. Brad Taylor, an old campaigner, had a run with Kapunda. That will be a really good game, and I reckon BMW, because it's at Wilmington, I will just go for them, but would not be surprised if Crystal Brook pull a bit of an upset out here.
Jamestown, Port Broughton and Wilmington is where the action will be in Northern Areas football on Saturday. The great Graham Spud Mackay, enjoy your weekend, and we look forward to catching up with you again next week.
Thanks, Jake.
Most farmers struggle for decent returns from their crops, their livestock and their grain. AW Vater & Co. give growers the best supply, service and support from seed to silo, helping to maximise profits and grow a prosperous farm for generations. You deserve more reward for effort and the security of a partner in agriculture who has your back, fighting for you, whether it's changing market prices or product and supply shortages. Contact family-owned and operated AW Vater & Co. today, where you're not a number, you're part of the family. Saddleworth, Kadina, or visit awvater.com.au.
Tackling the big talking points in country footy and netball.
His pass is magnificent.
The Friday Night Sports Show.
Here it comes.
With Jason the Flow Man.
It's a grand sight.
On your colour of sporting country life. Flow FM.
It's the Flow Friday Night Sports Show, and joining me on the line to talk about Great Flinders footy. How exciting is this? It's been a little while since I kept up to date with what's going on in Great Flinders, but I know this gentleman well. He's the premier goal kicker in country South Australia. In fact, I think country football across the country. That's Chris Prime. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, Jason. Yeah, it is quite exciting times at the moment in Great Flinders footy. Elliston District's coming in. It's had a bit of spark to the competition. So, right. Looking forward to it.
The Maroons at association level always very strong, about to get stronger. 7 teams in your competition this year with the inclusion of Elliston and Western Districts combined. We'll get to that in a minute because you'll get to have a look at them up close and personal in round 1. First, though, I wanted to get your thoughts on something, the B-grade competition. Now, I've got a question for you. There's only 2 games for us to preview this week, so we've got a bit of time to go through this. My understanding is just to register as a fill-in at the moment through Sporting Pulse, it's going to cost you, nearly $20, $15 I think it is, just to register to play a bit of B-grade for a club and help them out. That's got to create a few issues, I would have thought. Imagine going to someone and say, hey, can you help us out and give us $15?
Yeah, it does. Look, I mean, and I think nearly all clubs are struggling number-wise. Like, yeah, we've got the numbers, but there's injuries and people away nearly every week, and you're hunting around to find guys to fill in. There's heaps of guys at each club. There's, 5 or 10 players at most clubs that will go, yeah, I'll put my hand up. Oh, yeah, you're going to have to pay another $15. Look, it doesn't... We all just want a game of footy to go ahead. Like, it's creating the wrong the wrong vibe, the wrong feel, keeping footy going. Like, it's getting harder and harder to find footballers. Let's not put another impost on it. Like, I mean, I know you have to register players. When we did it 3 years ago, and it didn't cost us a cent. Now it's costing us $15. Where does it end? As they need more money, does it end up being $50 to register or $100 to register? And then plus you've got your subs on top. It's just becoming an extra cash grab, I think, and makes it harder to keep, 18, 20 B graders on the oval.
That's a fair point, mate. I can't disagree. And it's the principle of the thing. I mean, if you, as we know, in B grade competitions in the country, if the A grade need players, they grab from the B grade. Simple as that. And that's the way it should be.
We're the poor, really.
Yeah,
B graders are the poor, really.
Yeah, it's always the case, but that's really the way it should be. The A grade, if they lose a couple through injury or a couple go away, they're going to grab whoever they can from the B grade who's prepared to go up, and that's fine. But who do the B grade grab from? Do they grab from the juniors? Some of the juniors are already playing seniors anyway. And if you're going to go and ask a mate down the pub on a Thursday night to come and fill in for you because you're missing a couple, you then got to ask him again to put his hand in his pocket for $15 for the privilege. Doesn't seem right to me.
No, it doesn't. And as I said, it's getting harder and harder to fill these sides. And it's just another impost on that recruiting drive, which happens between Wednesdays and Saturday mornings.
If you're lucky.
So,
Saturday mid-morning quite often.
5 minutes before the game some weeks.
You just go from car to car in the Colts and see who's half able to move around.
Yes. You don't even have to be able to move around as long as you can put a pair of boots on some weeks.
Exactly, mate. Hey, let's have a look at the returning fixtures. There's only 2 of them. 3 clubs will have the bye in round 1, but one of them is super exciting for the competition. Elliston and Western Districts are going to drive down the highway, combined to take on Tumby Bay, your crew. You'll get a look at these guys up close and personal. What do you know about them already, Primey?
Look, I've talked to a few people up there, and to me, I haven't delved into players they have and haven't. But, I think they'll probably play a different style of game to what's been played in Great Flinders. I don't think they'll probably have quite the height, the big key forwards. They'll run the ball. And I think you see that when your association games are played, like Midwest, I was going to say Lee Hunt, that shows how old I am. Midwest always played a slightly different style of footy to what Great Flinders did. And I think that will show in the team coming down. Like the Roosters I think they'll look to be quicker, move, like don't have the key forwards, so get it out in space and run. And that'll be something different for the Great Flinders teams to tackle. So Tumby will get first look at them, so we'll see how that goes.
Always fraught with peril trying to tip round 1 fixtures, but what about Tumby Bay? What about the ins and outs for you guys? Have you recruited well? Have you been able to get some more senior help around some of the young guns you got coming through?
There's been a few departures. There's a few guys come in. It's, once again, I'm not really about best players and who's come in and who's gone out, because I think that sorts itself out throughout the year.
Yep.
Because sometimes your best recruits are the ones that are actually already in the club and they just find a different role. I think there's a good vibe around the club. There's a bit of youth, a bit of experience, and I think they'll come up against a pretty tough Elliston side. Like the Roosters, they'll have their... You go into a new association, you're going to be really up for it. And I think this week will be probably tough for Tumby for that reason. Like the Roosters will be primed and ready to go, and while Tumby will be there fighting, I reckon it'll be a scrap, but I reckon the Roosters will come out on top.
Mate, well, I hope you're right. I hope you get done this week. Apologies, but to everyone in Tumby Bay, I love me Tumby boys, but I'm really hoping it's the fairy tale for these 2 displaced clubs from the old Midwest Football League. So good luck to them. The other game in Great Flinders footy will be up in Cummins, where Cougars, they will welcome to town... who are they playing?
Eyre United.
That's right. Yeah, your old foes from just up the road. Eyre United come to town. Should be interesting.
It should be. Both clubs have recruited quite well, and I think Cougars have got a bit of a different feel about them. Like they're really pushing that 2 nights a week training, and had really good numbers out at training, which this time of year, actually the first week, is normally best numbers for the year until finals. But yeah, look, they're really trying to change the way they're doing stuff, and while they've been around the mark for a few years, really haven't pushed to the final two. I think that's really what they're gearing up for this year. So, look, they're looking pretty strong. Eyre United, once again, they've got good numbers on their books at the moment, and look to have strong numbers through. So it will be a case of, I think Eyre United will be competitive, but I think Cougars will probably be a bit stronger by the end of the day. So.
Yep. With Lincoln Footy another week away too, I'm tipping there might be a few guest appearances for Eyre United. There normally is.
Well, I think there might be a couple of guest appearances for a couple of sides, junior sides as well. I think there's a few guys come up just to help out. So It's one of those things that it sort of affects the way the league goes that first week, but it all sorts itself out by the end of the year. So you get them for 1 week. Is that a benefit, or it gets you a side on the oval, but does it help your side long term throughout the 12 months? So
good point.
That's a big question. So.
Good point. Primey, good luck. I imagine you'll be pulling the boots on. I've got you down for half a dozen.
It wasn't the plan. I was one of those blokes that recruited between Wednesday and Saturday morning. Yes, and I figured I didn't need to register because I registered last year, but it apparently doesn't carry over. So that's another kettle of fish. But yes, I have got the boots going on a bit after lunchtime tomorrow. So
good stuff. We'll get your money's worth, mate. You get change out of a 20, but we need at least half a dozen out of you. We'll catch up next week and see if you cashed in or not.
Well, on a positive note, they've brought a new rule in for Great Flinders this year. They've brought in the Chris Prime rule. You have to have one person in the goal square at all centre bounces.
Well, that won't change a thing for Tumby Bay then. Beautiful.
No.
Excellent, mate. Good luck. We'll catch up with you next week.
Thanks, Reece. Good luck to everyone playing this weekend.
BVMS Chartered Accountants, a passionate team of local experienced professional advisors ready to help you with all aspects of your business or personal accounting needs. Client-driven and results-focused, from general accounting and audits to self-managed super funds and taxation, and specialising in agriculture clientele, with offices in Waikerie, Berry and now in Loxton, plus visiting the Mallee regularly. Contact BVMS Chartered Accountants today and see how they can make things easier for you. BVMS Chartered Accountants. Locals counting on locals. Visit bvms.com.au.
Around here, we love our Golden Grain. And we love our Golden Grain Hotel. Open from 11 a.m. 7 days a week. And meals available every night. With theme nights 4 nights a week. Including burgers, pizza, steaks and Thursday nights a schnitzel night. Grab a feed for $15. Affordable for all the family. There's even a kids menu too. Locals or travellers, just come in off the highway into the main street and find the Golden Grain Hotel. And shearers, farmers and spud farmers, order your takeaway meals. Check the website for menus, meal specials, accommodation and upcoming events. GoldenGrainHotelPinaroo.com or follow on Facebook.
Walter Agencies are your local bloke in Lamoureux for rural merchandise and service. All your ag supplies under one roof. Chemicals, water supplies, rural hardware. Ask for expert advice on animal husbandry and the range of animal health products. They can also fill up your pet and stock feed supplies and make sure there's plenty of water storage with tanks, troughs and fittings. Walter Agencies, your local bloke in Lamoureux, 44 Railway Terrace North. Phone 8576 3311. That's 8576 3311.
Southern Contracting Group takes pride in providing the highest quality products and services at competitive prices, covering the Southern Mallee, Mid-North, Riverland, South East and Western Victoria. From mobile rock crushing and screening to ready-mix concrete and bulk and civil earthworks. And the Callington Quarry is now open for quarry products including limestone and bluestone, concrete stone, ballast, rubble, road-based sand and Gabion rock wall. Perfect for contracting or landscaping businesses. Open Monday to Friday 7 till 5, Saturdays by appointment. Visit southerncontractinggroup.com.au, find them on Facebook or call 08 8576 3627.